So here's a close-up of the card we're going to be making today. I'm really happy how it turned out. This was made with the Walk in the Woods stamp set and the Celebrate Sunflowers stamp set, and I love these. These are so great. And if you haven't already picked these up, then you're definitely going to want to. I've seen some amazing things, especially with the sunflowers set online. All right, but the Walk in the Woods is one that I particularly like. I love this cute little hedgehog, and I have not seen enough with it, so I wanted to showcase both in this card today. So the paper colors we're going to be using is the lovely Daffodil Delight for our card base, which is so pretty, against the new Just Jade. This is one of our new in colors right there. Don't need the ink pad, it's just this has the name. Love, love, love this. And yeah, and then we're also going to be using some Whisper White for our card front and a little scrap for our sentiment right there. Our ink colors are going to be yet again that Daffodil Delight for stamping our sentiment, but if you don't want to do that, you could also just stamp it in the basic black, the Memento, which we're going to be stamping the images with. Okay. Also, to color, we're going to be using some blends today. We're going to go with that Daffodil Delight Blends pack. Also, the Crumb Cake Light and Dark blends for our little hedgehog. The new Cinnamon Cider Light and Dark for the center of those sunflowers. I'll stick it on that side. And then for our petals to coordinate with the jade, I'm using the Light Just Jade. You could use both to do some contrast, but I just kept it simple with just the one color. Okay, those are our blends. We're going to be doing some fussy cutting, but not a ton. You're also going to want some Post-it notes, and this is for the masking we're going to be doing in a second. You're going to want at least 3, depending on how many of these cards you're going to make. They will get inky. This one has been very well used. So if you're doing a bunch of this style card, you're going to want more than 3, as I said, they will get inked up. All right. So Post-it notes, and brand, it doesn't matter. You just want to be sure it has that stickiness to it. Dimensionals. And for our punch, we're using the Timeless, be sure if I say that right, the Timeless Labels Punch. It's new to me, so I've got to make sure I say it right. The Timeless Labels Punch. The other thing we're also using is one of the brand new Embossing Folders. Also should double check that I say that right as well. But this is part of that wonderful suite that has the beautiful world, the globe, and everything. It's a really nice suite, and this die is the Old World Paper 3D Embossing Folder. Okay, let me be sure I said that right. So it is a gorgeous texture. I have it sitting over there. I should have grabbed it, but it's a bigger one. So I don't know that the camera's going to do that one justice. All right, and I think that is it. Oh, that and just whatever glue you would like to adhere it, whether it is the multi-purpose liquid glue or our new Stampin' Seal. I think for the video I'll use the Stampin' Seal. Okay, and I think that is it. So let's go ahead and get stamping. All right, I'll move this off to the side. So we're going to start with our piece of Whisper White, and this is cut at 3 1/4 by 5, and I forgot to write it like I meant to, so I'll just write it real quick here. So 5 inches. So it's kind of one of the standard sizes I always like to use. Okay, and you're going to want to go ahead and stamp at least 2 sunflowers and 1 hedgehog. Let me get that inked one out. On your Post-it note. Now, when you stamp it, you want to stamp your image towards the whatever side has the adhesive. So in here, this is the bottom. The adhesive flap is on the top. So you want to get at least part of that stamped image with that adhesive sticky backing. Depending on the size of your Post-it note, it's going to be pretty hard to get all of it, but just at least some of it so it has that stick so you can reposition. So we're going to have those, and I went ahead and pre-fussy cut those out with my paper snips. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and take our images. So I have the sunflower, the little sunflower, and the hedgehog on blocks with my Memento. And I'm going to start by inking up a sunflower first. Okay. And I'm going to stamp this sunflower right here that's going to be covering his body first, because it's easier to do it this way. So I'm going to just go ahead and stamp that, and I want to kind of aim it for the center. Pick it up. So there we go. We have our first sunflower. Now I know where that's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and take one of my masks and cover it. Now those leaves are really helpful in making sure that you have that lined up right, because those petals are not the same all the way around. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink up my little hedgehog. Okay. Now, not all of him is going to be stamped, so his, I guess, butt is going to be behind the sunflower. So that part I'm going to stamp right on top of the sunflower. Do make sure you got good coverage on that. So I'm just going to stamp it with part of him hiding behind that sunflower and stamp it straight down. Now the magic of masking like this is that will now look like he's hiding behind the sunflower. I love doing this technique. It really wows people, and it is very non-intuitive. It's not kind of the way you would think you would do it. So now that I have those two, my two center ones done, I'm going to go ahead and cover them both back up with my little masks. I've got my little mask for my hedgehog. And I didn't really even have to get his whole body. It was just easier because it's really just his face that's poking out here. Go just like that. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and keep stamping and moving those masks. I may fast forward here, but after doing a couple, you'll get the idea. Now you do want, for it to be a really good effect, you do want part of that flower or image to be kind of stamped on top of the mask, so it does look like it's behind. So just like that. And you can move them about any number of directions, especially on those connecting edges. You do want to be sure it's a nice firm press. You can also do some, let's do one down here. Just like that. Okay, and there we have our basic stamped image. Now you can see just by doing that masking and moving around, you'll get some kind of different looks. Yours is probably going to look a little different than mine. It just depends on where you place your flowers and how you move them and place them on the corners. Don't stress so much about what's going to be covered by the sentiment. But anyway, you can see it's just really fun. And if you do not have the sunflower stamp set, which you should, you could actually do this design with a different flower from Stampin' Up! As well. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and color our image real quick. And I'll just do a little explanation and then I'll speed it up. So for our hedgehog, I did the light and dark crumb cake, going over around the eyes with the light, and then also hitting his little tummy with the light. And then using the dark primarily for the face, and then also doing just an extra line around with that light to kind of give some shading. So that's how we're going to do the hedgehog. Now for the sunflowers, that I'm using the light Daffodil Delight and just highlights with the dark, because I don't want to go too dark with this. And then for the center, same thing, using the light and then just touches of dark for around that edge and that center. And really, that's it. The nice thing about blends is you don't have to be an expert in them. They are very forgiving. You can always add a little more if you think it needs a little more. And there's actually a color lifter if you think you went a little too dark. I tend to always go too light, so I don't really use it as much. But it is there and it is an option. So yeah, that's basically all I'm doing, just hitting those highlights with the darker shades. So let's speed this up and knock the coloring out. So this is our image all colored and done. And depending on what blends you use, yours might look a little different, or if you went darker. I actually forgot until I was coloring it that I only used the light of the new cinnamon cider. I didn't do the dark because then earlier when I did with the dark, it was a little too much with the dark, so I just went with the light twice. Another handy reminder, if you don't have something underneath your surface, you really should when you use blends, because they do bleed through. So, all right, so now we have our piece all colored, and I do have some examples I forgot to mention that I'll be showing you at the end of the video of some other versions of this card. All right, so now let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment using that Daffodil Delight and just a scrap piece of paper. I like this. The world needs more of what you are. What a nice thing. Could go for all kinds of occasions and just kind of a sweet thing to say, honestly. So really like that. Just punch that out with our timeless labels punch. Just line it up just like that in the center. Give it a little squeeze. Pops right out. And we're also going to use a little bit of that, oh, not the card base, there we go, Daffodil Delight, and punch one more shape. Just like that. And this is going to be for that border here in a minute. Okay. So now we have those. I'll go ahead and finish that off real quick. So we're just going to take that Daffodil Delight piece and cut it in the center, just like that. And sometimes it is a little easier if you trim a little of that center out, but you don't have to. Okay, so once we have that, then we're going to line it up. Because it is the same width, you're just going to have some of that edge poking out. So just like that. And however much you do on one side, you want to aim to do the same on the other side for symmetry. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our Stampin' Seal real quick and just give it a little on the tip. Still new to this new adhesive here. There we go. I'll just do one side at a time. I'm just going to line it up, press it down. Okay, just like that. Give a little press. Do the other side. Same thing. I just want to try to be sure I have about the same width on the end. Just like that. So, ta-da! That could have been a little closer, but close enough. All right. Now we also want to go ahead and get our piece in that lovely Just Jade. Now this is cut at 2.5 by 5.5. Let me write that down for y'all. Go, because I did not. So 2.5 by 5.5. Sorry, that is very messy. Hopefully you guys can read that. My chicken scratch here. So this is going to be the entire height of the card, and then just a little bit so it kind of peeks through, just like there. Now my other handy tip for this particular embossing folder, normally I would cut first and then emboss, but for this one I actually recommend you emboss first and then cut it, because it is so pitted and grooved, it will actually affect your measurements a bit. So it's easier to cut it after because it'll shrink your paper up a little bit as it's kind of crunching that effect. So that's my tip for that. Be sure to cut it after you emboss it. And I mean, it's so gorgeous, you're going to want the extra anyway. But yeah, a full sheet looks about like that size. So it's a pretty nice big folder. Okay, so yes, after you got that cut, now we have all of our pieces. We're just going to assemble. So I'm going to grab that card base. Fold that up, grab my paper, see, just nice edge to edge, just like that, and have a little bit of that peeking through. My Stampin' Seal, pull it across. I know it's kind of hard to see in this video. You're probably not going to be able to see that I have anything on here, but it's on there. It's a nice clear tape-like adhesive. Go, line it up, give it a little good press. Look at that, it's on there really good. All right. And now for adhering this piece to that green, See, it looks, yeah, it's the same size. Okay, I just put it over too far. That's fine. All right, so for adhering this, I recommend using the dimensionals. Because it's such a textured embossing folder, it's kind of hard for it to get a really good seal. So the dimensionals are just a great way to kind of give it all that nice, even look and give it a good adhesion. So I like to put one in every corner. Actually, I may put an extra one on the side that's going to have the paper just so it's on there good. Okay. So flip it and line it up. You want to line it up to where you have that nice edge of yellow all the way around, kind of ties it together. And I put my green piece over a little further than I wanted, but that's okay. So we're just going to press it down. Now you do want to be sure to press pretty good on the sides that are on top of this textured paper, just to be sure that it gets a good seal with those dimensionals so it's nice and on there. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and add our sentiment, and then we will be done. Boom. Oh. Sometimes you have to roll it up a little. There we go. Just add that right, stick him right here. So there's our cute little hedgehog card. I love it. I think it's so fun. Now, if you're not feeling this exact color combo, I do have a couple other just examples using this same layout, because as you can tell, I love this. So if you're not feeling the green, you could also do this with the new cinnamon cider. So this is the same edge on the punch, and then just a kind of a background border piece, and this is colored pretty much the same, although I think this was with the dark Daffodil Delight. All right, here's another one with a little strip of Design Series paper in the back from the new In Colors pack, Design Series paper pack. And here's another look. And this one I colored, let me put these apart so you can see side by side. So this one I colored the back of that with the new, what's it called? Misty Moonlight, with the new Misty Moonlight blue, and then got the coordinating Design Series, or coordinating paper for the background, and that's also with the cinnamon cider. So just kind of a fun look on that one. And this is similar. It's just got the Daffodil Delight base instead of the blue, but still same background. And this one was an earlier coloring of the hedgehog. I did not really love the darker hedgehog as much as the lighter, so that's why the rest of them are all light. And then do one quick check. Yep, those were all of the hedgehog cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this card tutorial video today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And for all the direct links to shop in my store and help support me and buy all the products seen here, check out the links in the video description below. Thanks, guys. Bye.